Hey y'all, Jennifer with Substance in Christ. I am fixing to read a Bible. We're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. You know I'll be going into detail, so it takes me a long time to get through verses. But we're back on the Wisdom of Solomon. 3:1, we're starting right at 3, the destiny of the righteous. This was exactly where we left off yesterday. I really like this. It's straight and to the point. I like this. Okay, but the righteous people are protected by God and will never suffer torment. It is a foolish mistake to think that righteous people die and that their death is a terrible death. They leave us, but it is not a disaster. In fact, the righteous are at peace. It might appear that they have suffered punishment, but they have the confident hope of immortality. You know, before I had a relationship with Christ, the crazy thing is like I used to be so scared of death. I was like terrified of death. And now I'm like, if it's my time, it's my time. You know, like, their sufferings were minor compared with the blessings they will receive. God has tested them like gold in a furnace and found them worthy to be with him. He has accepted them, just as he accepts the sacrifices which his worshippers burn on the altar. You don't judge my Bible. I'm sorry. I got instant coffee on it. It breaks my heart. It looks gross, though. I know. When God comes to reward the righteous, they will blaze out against the wicked like fire and dry straw. You know, it's crazy, like, how I was talking about yesterday in my video about, like, hell really is a cold place. And if we think, like, on a molecular level where, fire burns, like, it engulfs, like, it gets, like, on a molecular level, it gets it moving. And I'm probably using the wrong terminology here, but you know what I'm talking about. It gets energetic. It gets stuff energetically moving. Cold actually slows it down. Ultimately, you get something cold enough, it stops it in its place, right? So, we were talking about that yesterday. I think it's Enoch 1 or 2, or 1 and 2, where it talks about what we would refer to as hell being cast out into, like, the cold. It makes sense, okay? So, they will rule over nations and peoples, and the Lord will be their king forever. Those who have put their trust in God will come to understand the truth of his ways. Those who have been faithful will live with him in his love, for he is kind and merciful to the ones whom he has chosen. The destiny of the wicked. The ungodly, however, will get the punishment their wicked thoughts deserve because they rebelled against the Lord and ignored what was right. A man who has no use for wisdom or education has a miserable life in store for him. He has nothing to hope for. His labors are useless and he will never accomplish anything worthwhile. The woman he marries will turn out to be irresponsible and his children will go wrong. All his descendants will be under a curse. The importance of virtue. On Judgment Day, God will reward the woman who has never been able to have a child, provided she has not been guilty of adultery. Then she will be happy. On that day, even the man who has been castrated will be rewarded with happiness if he has kept the law and has not stored up resentment against the Lord. Because he has been faithful, he will receive a special reward more precious than having children, a place in the Lord's heavenly temple. Honest deeds are like a tree that bears marvelous fruit. Wisdom is like a fruit or a root that is alive and can always send up new shoots. But children born of adultery or of a forbidden union will die an early death. Yet, even if they do live a long time, they will never amount to anything. They will not be respected at their old age, and if they die young, they will have no hope or comfort on Judgment Day. Children born of a forbidden union suffer a miserable fate. It is better to have virtue, even if it means having no children. Your virtue will be recognized by other people and by God, and you will be remembered for it forever. Virtue provides an example for which to follow when it is not there. They miss it. It has always been the finest prize a person can win, and it always will be. It's the noblest. My back is hurting. Sorry, y'all. It's twisting and turning. It is the noblest of all good qualities a person can have. No matter how many children are born of a forbidden union, none of them will ever amount to anything. They are illegitimate. They can never lay a firm foundation for themselves, never take deep root like trees with shallow roots. They put out leaves for a while, but they sway in the wind and storms uproot them. The branches snap off before they mature. Their fruit never ripens, and it is good for nothing. On Judgment Day, children born of a forbidden union will testify to the sin of their parents and act as witnesses against them. Let me speak on this. I'll come back to it. Righteous people, however, will find rest even if they die young. We honor old age, but not just because a person has lived a long time. Let me go back to that. I do believe, like, where it's talking about, like, forbidden unions will not bear ripe fruit. And I do believe that this has to do with, let me emphasize on this, on my beliefs on this, because I don't believe, like, that applies consistently. I do believe black sheeps come along. I believe that that's more so like referring to generational curses that are brought upon the lineage. There are like black sheep, these generational curse breakers that come along in the family lineage that break these because of them not being, because they're forbidden unions, you know, that can amount to like generational curses. But there are people who come along in the lineage to break those generational curses, to break those. That's my take on it, if that makes sense, right? So, righteous people, however, will find rest even if they die young. We honor old age, but not just because a person who has lived a long time. Wisdom and righteousness are signs of the maturity that should come with old age. Once there was a man named Enoch who pleased God, and God loved him. I love Enoch. While Enoch was still living amongst sinners, God took him away, so that evil and falsehood could not corrupt his mind and soul. We all know that people can be so fascinated by evil that they cannot recognize what is good, even when they are looking right at it. Innocent people can be so corrupted with desire that they can think of nothing but what they want. This man Enoch, aka Metatron, achieved in a few years' time a perfection that other people could never attain in a complete lifetime. The Lord was pleased with Enoch's life and quickly took him out of the wicked people. People were aware of his departure but didn't understand. They never seemed to learn the lessons that God is kind and merciful to his own people. He protects those whom he has chosen. I love Enoch and I love God, and I think the story Enoch is a beautiful story. Enoch 1 and 2 actually, which I do believe are still included in the Ethiopian Bible, in the Ethiopian text. And story Enoch, it's extremely, it's kind of like Revelation with John and Revelation, and it's extremely complicated, and because there's so many different layers and interpretations, which all throughout the Bible there is, right? But like especially in Enoch 1 and 2 and Revelation, John and Revelation, there's so many layers and depths to it that it's really just based on like people's interpretations of it, right? Well, most of it we don't have direct knowings and understandings, and so like that's why I believe I don't understand why Enoch wasn't put in there. Enoch was so profound. I love Enoch. Enoch, he's hashtag goals, you know? Like, he achieved perfection in just a few years' time because his love for God was so great that he he put his attention on the Lord, first commandment, right? Like, that's what we should all strive to do. I love you, not anyways. So, and God is so merciful, and God does work. The Holy Spirit guides and leads us and teaches us every single day and every step. It's really up to us and like our heart posture and where we're at in our spirituality to look for those signs and signals and lessons and truly holy God and everything, you know. So, the fate of the wicked. I really like the wisdom psalm. So I just want to continue to pick up where I left off yesterday. The fate of the wicked. Even when righteous people are dead and gone, they put to shame the wicked people who live on after them. Generational curses. In their old age, the wicked will be disgraced by young people who have already achieved perfection. The wise may die young, but the wicked will never understand that this is the Lord's way of taking them off to safety. They make light of a wise person's death, but the Lord will soon be laughing at them when they die. They will not be given an honorable burial. Even the dead will hold them in scorn and disgust forever. Let me throw this out. It says that the wise may die young, but the wicked will never understand how this is the Lord's way of taking them off to safety. Okay. So I've had this discussion before as well, and I honestly believe that, like, just another emphasis on the Lord's mercy and how merciful he truly is the wicked. They don't want to submit to God, right? So God, being the merciful, wonderful Father that he is, you know, he just like the wise, the Lord carries them off for their protection young, right? But like, what if he is such a merciful God that like the wicked, he allows them because he knows their heart posture. He knows he knows what time it is, you know what I'm saying? So because he's so merciful, you know what I'm saying? So it goes both ways, not just for the wise but also for the wicked. Anyways, God will throw them to the ground and make them speechless. Like buildings shaken from their foundations, they will be reduced to piles of ruins. How merciful of a God he is. He'll give them a little more time because he knows their destiny. Mercy. They will be in torment. People will soon forget all about them. They'll come in fear to the judgment where their sins will be counted. They will stand condemned by their own lawless actions. The regrets of the wicked. On that day, someone righteous, full of confidence, will stand before those who oppressed him and made light of his labors. They will be amazed to see him safe and will tremble with terrible fear. Then they will regret what they did, and groaning and in anguish, they will say to each other, "This is the one we made fun of. We thought he was a joke. What fools we were. We thought he was crazy to live the way he did, and when he died, we didn't honor him. And now here he is, one of God's own children with a place of his own amongst God's people. We were the ones who wandered off the right road. We never lived in the light of righteousness. We never caught the first glimmer of its light. All our lives we wandered across unmarked deserts instead of following the road which the Lord wanted us to travel, and this lawlessness led us to ruin. We were so proud of ourselves, we bragged about how rich we were, and now, what good has it done us? All those things are gone now. They've disappeared like a shadow, like something you hear and then forget. A ship sails across the waves of the ocean, but when it is gone, it leaves no trace. You cannot tell it was even there. A bird flies through the air, but leaves no sign that it has been there. It speeds along, riding through the thin air by the force of its wings, leaving behind no trace of its passing, and the arrow splits the air when it is shot at a target. But at once the air closes up behind it, and no one can tell where it passed. It is the same with us. We were born, and then we ceased to be. We left no sign of virtue behind us. We were destroyed by our wickedness. What hope do wicked people have? Only the hope of straw blown about in the wind, the hope of ocean foam that disappears in the storms, the hope of smoke in the breeze. Their hope lasts no longer than our memory of a guest who stays one day and leaves the next. But the righteous live on forever. The Lord will reward them. The Most High will protect them. He will give them royal splendor and a magnificent crown. He will shield them with his powerful arm. He will go out into battle determined to defeat his enemies and use the creation itself as a weapon. Righteousness will be his armor. Genuine justice will be his helmet. Holiness will be his invincible shield. He will sharpen his stern anger into a sword, and the forces of nature will join him in battle against those who are foolish enough to oppose him. Bolts of lightning will strike right on target, as if the Lord has made a bow out of the clouds and was shooting arrows. Hailstones will beat down on his enemies with terrible force. The oceans and rivers will come rushing over them in a devastating flood. Great windstorms will blow them away like straw. Lawlessness will be in the ruin of the whole earth. Evil actions will cause governments to fall. Dun, dun, dun. Anyways. My God, is it not so good? Okay, so I'll just go like a minute long. The responsibility of rulers. So then, you kings, you rulers the world over, listen to what I say and learn from it. You govern many lands and are proud that so many people are under your rule. But this authority has been given to you by the Lord Most High. He will examine what you have done and what you plan to do. You rule on behalf of God and his kingdom. And if you do not govern justly, if you do not uphold the law, if you do not live according to God's will, you will suffer sudden and terrible punishment. Judgment is especially severe on those in power. Common people may be mercifully forgiven for their wrongs, but those in power will face a severe judgment. The Lord of all is not afraid of anyone, no matter how great they are. He himself made everyone great and common alike, and he provides for all equally. But he will judge the conduct of rulers more strictly. It is for you, mighty kings, that I write these words,